last weekend at Father Paul's 40th anniversary celebration, the bishop was present, and I don't remember anyone commenting to me specifically wondering why the bishop was dressed the way that he was. But I know some people were wondering, why is it that when he came to St. John's to celebrate Mass, he was all dressed up like a priest, so to speak, during Mass? He wore the chasuble, the outer garment, he had his mitre and his crozier, but none of that was to be seen at the 40th anniversary. In fact, he looked rather purple. Well, the actual color is fuchsia. But why is it that the bishop was dressed so differently for the one Mass as opposed to the other? Well, if you noticed during the Mass, and I would encourage you, if you didn't get a chance to watch that Mass in person or to watch it on the video, we do have it on our YouTube channel here. You can just go down to the channel and check it out. It was a beautiful celebration, a great gathering of the people, of many priests, and you can see what I'm talking about. The bishop is dressed in a fuchsia cassock, and his rochet, I believe is how it's pronounced. What's the difference? Well, if you recall a couple of weeks ago, when I was first explaining about the role of the bishop and therefore the role of the priest, that every priest, just as I'm a priest for the Diocese of Greensburg, everything that I do comes from the office of the bishop, who is the successor to the apostles. And so within the diocese, he is the one who assigns, who gives authority for the different priests throughout the diocese to conduct their ministry, certainly in the name of Christ, but also in the name of the bishop, who is the ordinary, who is the one who governs everything. In the earliest church, one of the reasons that they established the first deacons and the first priests they called presbyters, the reason they did that was because the apostles couldn't be everywhere. And so they said, well, we have to have people who are able to continue to do the work that the apostles were doing. So we have priests who go out and administer to the different parishes and act in the name of Christ, but also in the name of the bishop, the one who is the ordinary for the Diocese of Greensburg. He's the one who gives me permission to celebrate Mass, to hear confessions. If he withdrew that authority, if he withdrew that permission, I would not be able to act as a priest publicly. So that means that the bishop, when he's present at a function within the diocese, he should be the celebrant, because he is the one in the highest place. You'll notice that the Pope is always the one who is the celebrant at everything that he does, unless it involves something that's ecumenical outside of the Roman Catholic Church, or perhaps something within the Christian community, the different Orthodox, or whatever the case is. But when the Pope, if he were to come and visit the diocese, he would be the main celebrant. Or a visiting bishop might become the main celebrant of the Mass within the diocese. That is also okay. But there would be no reason, if a bishop were present, for a priest to celebrate the liturgy, because the bishop is the one who has the fullness of holy orders and represents the closest thing to the apostles and to Jesus himself within the hierarchy of the church. So that begs the question then, if a bishop wants to attend a liturgy but doesn't want to be the celebrant, what is he to do? There are some situations that might be the case, if you think about it. Certainly if a priest is celebrating his first Mass, well, it wouldn't be the priest's first Mass if he's not the celebrant. Or in the situation of Father Paul, celebrating his 40th anniversary of the priesthood, it's appropriate for him to be the celebrant, the one who is celebrating the Mass and offering the Eucharist. And at a priest's parent's funeral, for example, the priest himself may want to be the celebrant. But a bishop may want to be present at those events because he's certainly showing a great deal of honor and respect to the priest to want to be present for those great celebrations. They're worthy of celebrating across the diocese. But then if he's supposed to be the main celebrant, How does that work? So that's where choir dress comes in, because a bishop or a cardinal, or I suppose even the Pope, could be attending a liturgy in choir without being one of the celebrants. And that's an appropriate way of both showing his authority, his role in the church, while also deferring to the priest who is celebrating that particular liturgy. And that's the difference. When the bishop is the celebrant, he wears the mitre, he wears the crozier, he wears the chasuble. All of those things are a sign of his authority within the liturgy. But outside of the liturgy, he can wear the choir dress that is befitting of his office. And those things are his fuchsia cassock and his rachet that he wears on his shoulders. Actually, I also was in what is called choir dress for priests, deacons, and seminarians. That is a black cassock and a white surplice, the white piece that goes over top. That's what's considered choir dress. I was not celebrating that liturgy. I was not a concelebrant. I was kneeling during the Eucharistic prayer just as the bishop was. In that sense, I was just like all of the faithful. I was not a concelebrating priest. I was present. I was doing other liturgical functions. I was functioning as altar server and as MC. So I wasn't one of the celebrants. So that's how I dress in the situation when I'm not concelebrating or celebrating Mass. So that's the reason for it. It's because the bishop should be the one who's celebrating the Mass under normal circumstances. But there are times when it's appropriate for the bishop to defer to one of his priests for pastoral reasons. And in that situation, you see the bishop wearing his choir dress. God bless, and we'll see you next time.